All right. This question is from Micah. I'm a trans woman who is also a huge fan of kilt wearing. However, I don't like the traditional length of kilted skirts, and the thought of wearing a short mini kilt also makes me uncomfortable. I know the kilt is traditionally a men's garment, but what can you suggest for options to add a bit of feminine flair to an outfit? So this is sort of a switcheroo on some of our usual advice.
Yeah. I will let you start with this one.
Okay.
Why don't you go into
Think for a second.
the other flair parts of the outfit?
Yeah, I think that's the key word.
How many pieces of flair do you have on today?
We really need to talk about your flair.
Yeah, I don't think you have enough flair.
We need to talk about your flair.
I got more than you.
I know.
I got 4 pieces of flair.
I'm repping the company, yo.
Necklace might count as 5.
Exactly.
Okay, so seriously, usually when we're talking about guys wearing a kilt for the first time, my advice is to try and tone down the rest of the outfit and to allow the kilt to do the talking, as I put it, because it is unusual in most of American society. It is very eye-catching, and it is often very colorful. And so the sporran and the kilt around it form a center of attention, and it's like, that's the boom, that's the impact you're going to have. So keep the rest of the outfit relatively simple is my usual advice. Like, I always recommend black t-shirts and stuff, just something plain rather than a printed shirt. So if I were going to try and do something, if I was going to try and feminize a man's kilt, and for the record, we have a lot of women who are wearing men's kilts these days. Not everybody is as concerned about the aesthetic of the length as they used to be. It is still very, very much the case that there is a certain length which is considered the masculine length, as opposed to feminine lengths, because there's more than one. But we do have a lot of women who wear a man's length kilt, and even complete construction. So anyway, if you want to feminize it, I would say basically do kind of the opposite of what some of the guys do. I would say more accessories, play around with other aspects of the outfit. Like have a more feminine looking top. Consider wearing stockings instead of like kilt hose or not. More feminine type shoes. Either maybe forego wearing the sporran, or do what some gals do, which is wear a smaller sporran or wear the sporran off to the side, to kind of reduce the
centeredness.
Centeredness.
The attention to the crotch.
Thank you. I was trying to think of an elegant way to say it.
I'm not elegant.
Things like that, basically. Kind of like imagine a nice outfit with any old skirt, and then put the kilt in place, and then do the color coordination you would anyway.
Yeah, I've heard you say before that for a man, the kilt is the centerpiece of the outfit, and everything else kind of is built around it.
I have in fact said that.
Women are building more of a cohesive outfit, and you can accessorize in different ways. So what you just said kind of leans into that same thing of not really just focusing on the kilt, but focusing on what the other parts that you're wearing.
Yeah.
I would kind of say this, to the point you kind of alluded to earlier as well. A man wears a kilt to the knee, period. Men don't wear kilts below the knee. Men don't wear kilts much above the knee.
Right.
It's to the knee. It is a masculine look. So you can't say, I want a feminine look by wearing the kilt to the knee and trying to force, a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't work quite that way. If you're wearing a kilt, you can feminize certain aspects of it, but you're still wearing a man's length kilt. And I'm not saying that you can't do it or women can't do it. I'm saying you have to accept that that is the length that is masculine versus lengths that are feminine, which are above the knee or below the knee.
So it could be a drawback.
Exactly.
It could be a drawback.
You're starting with under a false premise-ish. The ish.
Ish.
I'm hedging with the ish.
Emphasize the ish.
Yeah.
But
you can, what I would do is probably either fudge it down a little bit or up a little bit.
That's true.
So traditionally, air quotes, traditionally speaking, a man wears a kilt to the knee, like middle of the knee to top of the knee. That's kind of the accepted range.
Top edge at the navel or a little above the navel.
Correct. So maybe you wear it an inch above the knee, or if you're not comfortable with that, maybe it's an inch or two below the knee. Not long, but just a little long, because then it starts to look a little bit more feminine.
Yeah, I think I just realized that this factor might be that if this is a person who already had a kilt or kilts before they transitioned, then they're trying to see if they can make use of garments they already
How
own.
to fudge it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they just like the length. So whatever. But if you are a first-time kilt wearer, you don't already own one, you might want to consider, instead of getting a man's kilt, get one of the type of garments for women, which is almost exact or very similar construction. Like we ourselves offer a mini kilt, a midi kilt, and a maxi kilt. Those are 3 different lengths that we offer for the ladies, which have more of a kilt construction in some ways, as opposed to a kilted skirt, which is a bit more of a tube. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
No.
They kind of like come out and just go straight down, right?
No.
With a kilted skirt.
A kilted skirt still it hugs. Both of them should kind of hug a little bit.
Okay.
A kilted skirt, the pleats are narrower and shallower.
Okay.
So it doesn't flare out and it doesn't move as much.
That's what making me think of that. Okay.
The midi, maxi are just kind of more an A shape.
Right. They're more of an A line.
Correct.
So you get more
and
of a
they're
flare.
a little bit deeper in the pleats so that they move a little bit more.
Okay.
Correct. But to that point, it's still custom made. So whether you're, whether you have a badonkadonk or you don't, it's still going to be made to your measurements. The beautiful thing about Highland wear, whether us or somebody else, is that 98% of it is custom made for your measurements. So it doesn't matter whether you have a 3-inch difference between your waist and your hips or a 12-inch difference between your waist and the hips. If it's made properly, it should fit you if it's made for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say, if you already have a pre-existing kilt, de-emphasize it by thinking in terms of what my daughter would call a cord, which is Lolita fashion shorthand for coordinate. J-pop fashion. Thanks, Ren. And if you don't already own a kilt, consider some of the other options, because there's a lot more variety now than there used to be. And I don't know about other people, but I know that our the midis are PV and the maxis are
They're
wool.
all PV and they're all wool.
They are all wool.
Yeah, it's just price point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can you can still get your tartan and you can match somebody else if you want. So
yeah, and there's a
Go that
lot
way.
more. There's a lot more fashiony type stuff that is coming out with tartan things. It's the weird thing is in almost every aspect of human nature, the women get the over the top outfits, and the men are stuck in like black or navy. Those are your choices for your suit. In Highland wear, the men are the peacocks, and the women typically have less options. So, however, I think there's a bit of a pushback against
changing
that.
a lot.
Exactly, and I think there's a little bit of a pushback against it, and women want to sort of play with it a little bit more now as well. To meld the fashion and the history, and the fashion and their heritage by like, well, I don't want a kilted skirt, but I want to wear an A-line skirt, or I want to wear a longer mini kilt, or I want to wear this, or I want to wear that with tartan. Help me do that.
Yeah.
So I think there's more and more stuff like that is going to come to the fore in the next few years.
Absolutely. I mean, and the fashion trends of the youths.
Did you say utes?
Yeah, 2 utes.
What is a ute?
Are bearing that out because, like I've said before, and I've mentioned this on the website, for all you gals who are looking for stuff, trying to speak your language here, trying to meet you halfway. The two popular styles right now, cottagecore and dark academia, both use skirts like we're talking about, and there isn't as much tartan in them. That's only because there hasn't been as much Celtic stuff added to that vibe, but it's totally made for it. So women are getting into fogey retro fashion just as much as guys are. So the bottom line is this rising tide of looking at old styles is raising all boats.
Raising all tartans?
Raising all tartans, raising all bog boats, So
yeah, no,
that's basically it.
Absolutely.
And like I always say, if you're new to this, take your time.
Yep.
You can build your confidence and try different outfits, at home.
Play
right?
with it. Look
Play
for
with
photos
until,
online.
Yeah.
See what you like. See what fits your, suits your fancy and what doesn't.
Yep.
There are other, let's say they haven't gotten any kilts so far, and they want to go down that road. They're still debating on where they want to land as far as if they want to do something a midi or a kilted skirt or a shorter 5-yard or something like that, is there other accessories potentially they should look at? Maybe heading at more like a shawl or a sash, heading down that road while they're,
It depends. I can think it depends on the kind of the look and the vibe they're going for. I mean, shawls and stoles and ponchos and stuff, they're more floofy. They're definitely more on the feminine side of things, and they're definitely along the lines of, this feels romantic and it might feel cozy, but sometimes it's a pain in the ass if you gotta like do the dishes or pick up your kid or walk your dog or something. So,
and you don't need to wear it with a kilt.
Right.
You can wear that by itself.
Yeah.
Wear a poncho or wear, like Piper Alley did a video where she like wrapped a belt around a poncho.
Yep.
She wore
that was interesting.
A shawl with a corset half over top, so it kind of hung down in the back and looked like little cap sleeves.
She's very creative and very sharp. So yeah, I think that's usually the trade-off I hear, is that basically those things are cool, but because they're a formless garment, they can get in the way. Yeah. So as much as I'd like to sell y'all some ponchos, consider
come down to Erik's Poncho Emporium.
The Poncho Villa, you might even say.
Poncho Villa?
Poncho Villa, yeah. That joke sucked. So that joke was horrible.
I love it.
It would be Casa de Poncho.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyhow, yeah, that's the answer. Is a lot of the other women's accessories I think are more shapeless. So they're not as day wear ready to wear. I thought you were going to ask about length, and I was going to say if I was going to do anything, I would do the midi, because it'd be the most flexible option depending on where you're going.
Yep.
Like we say about men's kilts, like going to the grocery store or going to the office or just going to the pub. It's good for that. So I'd say for the women, the midi length is the best.
I think Rocky's landing an aircraft.
Yeah, exactly.
It's over there. By
it's actually my horrible voguing. I would potentially do the midi a little bit. I wear it at like lower waist and maybe 2 inches too long. And then if they wanted to wear it a little bit higher, wear it a little bit higher to be at the knee, so you can kind of cheat it up, cheat it down, because it's more A-line. It's not really, there's no rise on it really.
Yeah.
So it might be like construction-wise, that kind of made sense to me a little bit.
It's definitely construction-wise, because everybody's curves are different.
Yes, indeed.
So if your construction matches the garment's construction, have fun with it.
Well, it's custom, so.
Yeah, I'm saying,
Yeah.
Curves
the belly
can make fitting challenging.
Indeed.
I say this a lot, that there's never been a better time to be into kilts for the guys. It's also true for the gals. If you are into Celtic fashion, heritage in your look, things like that, there's never been a better time to do this. If you want more tips and ideas on how to do the heritage thing, how to do the modern Celtic fashion thing, we do have some more videos on that right over here.